I think if President Trump gets involved in this race, I think if President Trump decides to hold a rally for her, I think if President Trump does any of these things, it will matter in a big, big way. And I think the odds are better now than ever that he will. That he will now that he's mentioned something about it, and that's good. So we have Johnny Cook to thank for that, because Johnny Cook was asking last week why President Trump is not doing more. Well, now you have your answer. He's about to. He's about to get more involved, and he's about to get more involved in this race. I think if he does a rally for her, she will definitely win. And the same thing goes for Jack Ciattarelli. Not that the president necessarily needs to do a rally for Jack, but if he were to get involved, if he were to get even more involved, it's going to help in a big, big way. Here's the reason. This race, like Virginia, is all going to turn, it's going to be entirely about turnout. And if you get Republican turnout going, if you get everybody in this race engaged, if you do these things, then the Republican candidates will win. Because it's a situation where you're talking about margins here of very, very close margins. And we know that the Democrats have more voters, but they're not excited about their candidates. In Jersey, they're not excited about Mikie Sherrill. We know that. They're not excited about Mikie Sherrill, not at all. In Virginia, Abigail Spanberger had a lead, a significant lead. And then something happened, and that is Jay Jones, the idiot running for attorney general, and all his text messages came out about wanting to kill people and kill kids and everything else. His apology was your awful, scripted, terrible apology. And in addition to that, the number of Democrats who are acting like this is no big deal. Like this is, it's no big thing. So what? So he made jokes about killing kids and watching them die in their mother's arms. Like, no big whoop. You know what I mean? No big deal. The amount of Republicans who feel that way right now, or Democrats who feel that way, is amazing. It really is. It's amazing. He should have got out of the race. It's probably too late for him now at this point. They're stuck with him. They're stuck with this guy. But he's bringing down the Democrat candidate for governor, Abigail Spanberger. He's bringing her down, which is good. And now Sears has a really good shot. In New Jersey, the lack of enthusiasm for Mikie Sherrill is translating into Democrats being like, there's an anti-Trump factor that is baked in. That cake has been baked a long time ago as far as Democrats who hate Trump and want to come out and vote against Donald Trump. But we knew that. That's not a surprise. But as far as Democrats being excited to go vote for Mikie Sherrill, that's not there. That's not there at all. Then there's another factor in this race to consider too, which is that as we're watching all this play out and we're watching the enthusiasm and the momentum, we're also watching right now as electricity becomes a huge issue in this race. And the president mentioned that on Air Force One yesterday. He said, these Democrats, if they get elected, your electricity rates are going to go through the roof. They're going to go up. Now, Fox News is showing a poll that's 55 Sherrill, 45% for Ciattarelli. I've seen polls that are a lot closer than that. And as I watch those polls, I keep thinking to myself, if this race comes down to 1 or 2 points of enthusiasm, and that translates into Republicans getting out to vote, then Jack wins because it's that close. But here's something else, too, that you have to realize, and it's this. Democrats are beginning to panic at this moment. And there was a story about Mikie Sherrill today that I read. Democrats think that she's running a milquetoast campaign. So when people call her Vanilla Harris, it might be the fact everyone assumes skin color. No. I think it's that she's running a vanilla campaign. The campaign is very vanilla. It's very milquetoast. It has no energy around it, has no vision. She spoke for 12 minutes the other day in Morris County, New Jersey. 12 minutes. In that time, she brought up Trump 3 times and didn't just casually drop his name. 3 different times, beating him up and saying that he's the fault of everybody. He's the reason. He's the reason. Now, it's going to be close. Virginia's going to be close too. Virginia's going to be close because Jay Jones is just absolutely that awful. He's that awful of a candidate. He's the kind of guy that when you watch him and you look at his pathetic response to this entire scandal around him, he just strikes you as a guy who is sleazy, but he's also running for attorney general. So attorney general, you think you want to empathize with people and families and kids who've been killed and families who've lost kids. And how does a guy do it when he's made jokes about dying kids? That stuff matters to voters. It really does. It matters. In these close elections, little things matter in a big, big way. Plus, Sears is she's great. She's solid. If it's an issue where you turn around and you go, oh, all right, well, I think we'll go with the Republican, or we'll just go with the woman. Well, you have two to choose from. So if that's your issue, boom, there you got two right there. If in Jersey your issue is I want to go with a woman candidate, and then you say that's the reason why, and it's Mikie Sherrill, well, the only thing I can tell you is a lot of women are looking at this race and thinking about their daughters. Not a woman as governor, but their daughter playing on a sports team and then having to deal with a biological male on that team, in the locker room, whatever. Because don't think for a second that issue's gone away. It has not. That issue is still very, very prevalent on people's minds. And as much as this guy, Jay Jones, is a terrible candidate and Zohran Mamdani in New York is a terrible candidate, a piece I read today said Mamdani's not considered the extremist. No, the extremist in the race, in this Democrat Party, I should say right now, is John Fetterman. John Fetterman's considered an extremist. Why? Because John Fetterman has the audacity to say that he agrees with President Trump on things, like opening the government, which again, now the government is shut down. Again, the shutdown continues. Right now as we speak, the shutdown continues. So that's where we are. And he's now considered to be the extremist, and he's considered to be the guy that is the outlier, and he's considered to be the problem for Democrats. Not Mamdani, the lunatic over in New Jersey, or in New York, the lunatic commie in New York City. He's not the extremist. What does that tell you? Tells me that this is the change, again, the Democrat Party is going through. The change the Democrat Party is going through right now is extremists in their ranks. And so if they have somebody who acts like a mainstream Democrat, that person then becomes the outlier. And the extremists like Mamdani become the party standard bearers. So what do you do if you're Mikie Sherrill? You run a vanilla campaign. You run a milquetoast campaign. You try to avoid upsetting your wacko base, and at the same time, you try to just hope that just being a Democrat's enough to get you elected. Well, it's not. It's not. Not in a state like New Jersey, which has elected Republicans for governor. Not in a state like Virginia, where they've elected Republicans for governor. I mean, Spanberger gave an answer on men playing in women's sports. It rambled for 3 minutes, and she never actually said anything. Other than it's very obvious she's trying again, not to upset her extremist base, and at the same time, not to say anything that's going to hurt her with people that are not complete lunatics. Mikie Sherrill doesn't want to say anything. I mean, half the problem with these Democrats right now is they don't want to say anything. They're just terrified. They're terrified they're going to say something that's going to upset their fringe group wackos of the party, or they're going to say something that's going to upset mainstream voters who they have to win. But then again, the wacko fringe group of their party is the bulk of their party now. This is a terrible spot to be in if you're a Democrat. Meanwhile, if you're Jack Ciattarelli, if you're Winsome Earle-Sears, you can cruise right now towards bringing over not just energized Republicans who are energized because they see that they can win. And that's the first key. The first key to everything is to believe you can win. The second is now this idea that you can bring these people over who are in the middle, the independents, the people that are, they're not particularly partisan, and they go, well, you know what? Democrats have been in charge in New Jersey for 8 years. I don't like things. I'm not happy about things, and I'm going to go with the Republican. My electricity rates are soaring, and I'm going to go with the Republican. Jack Ciattarelli actually has a plan to do something about it. Mikie Sherrill doesn't. And Jack's talking about it. I mean, he's got an ad now where he's actually bringing up electricity prices. I think this is smart. I think he should do this. I think he should double down on this. I actually think right now, electricity prices might just very well be the number one issue heading into this race at this moment in time, as we make the closing argument in this race. Everybody knows taxes are high in New Jersey. Everybody knows, but the electricity prices, not something people are used to. In addition to their homeowners rates going up, in addition to their property taxes going up, in addition to all these things, then you deal with all of these other factors, and then suddenly now you open up your electricity bill, your natural gas bill, and you go, why is this so high? The president spoke about this race on Air Force One, and Jack has a new ad out. Let me play. Let's cue up cut number 8. This is Jack's new ad. The choice is clear as we're getting into the phase of the campaign that we call the closing argument. This is the closing argument, where we're getting into a place right now where a lot of voters have made up their minds. Hundreds of thousands of them have already voted by mail. Most people by now know who they're voting for, but there's still some that are undecided. But you also, in the closing argument, have to get your people out. You can't just assume that everybody who's a registered Republican is going to turn out and vote. You can't just assume that everybody who's perceived as a likely voter is going to actually turn out and vote. Part of the closing argument is not just to win over people that are on the fence. It is also to convince people, hey, we got this. We can win. Come over to our side. Come over to our side and vote. You can do this. You can win. We can win. So this is cut number 8. This is Jack Ciattarelli's new ad. Take a listen.
On taxes, the choice is clear.
Are you willing to commit to not raise the sales tax?
Jack Ciattarelli,
We are not raising the sales tax.
Mikie Sherrill.
I'm not going to commit to anything right now.
No surprise. In Congress, Sherrill backed higher income taxes, small business taxes, and even Social Security taxes. The bottom line, Jack Ciattarelli will cut taxes. Mikie Sherrill will raise taxes. We can't afford Mikie Sherrill.
Okay, I'm sorry. That was from the Republican Governors Association, but still a good ad. It's on message. It's on point. That line she said in that debate, they said, will you commit to not raising the sales tax? And she said, I won't commit to anything. That's a bad line. That is a line that is following her. That is a mess up that is following Mikie Sherrill everywhere Mikie Sherrill goes. Dumb thing to say. All you have to say in a debate like that is, no, I'm not raising sales taxes. Even if you do, you don't say it. You don't admit it. You don't tell people, yeah, I'm going to do that. You just turn around and you go, what? What are you, nuts? And then if in a year you have to raise sales taxes, well, I mean, you never have to, but if in a year you decide you're going to because you're a Democrat and you're just tax and spend, and well, then you blame somebody. You blame something else. You blame some externality. Or you just don't do it. There's always that option too. Can't help themselves. Well, why would you stand in a debate stage and say that? Will you rule it out? I'm not ruling anything out. You poor SOBs, you don't like your 7% sales tax? Well, it might go up even higher. I'm not ruling anything out. And that anything also implies I'm not ruling out raising income taxes. I'm not ruling out raising whatever. And don't forget, too, Mikie Sherrill also said when it comes to clean energy, it's going to cost you an arm and a leg. But if you're a good person, you'll do it anyway. Let's cue up cut number 9 here, Sean. If you're a good person, you'll do it anyway. Listen, I'm a good person. I like to think I'm a good person anyway. I know lots of good people around me. We don't think you're being a good person by paying an arm and a leg for alternative renewable energy that doesn't freaking work. That also kills whales and dolphins. Like, I don't think it makes you a good person to support these monstrosities, these wind turbines, these massive wind turbines off the Jersey Shore that kill whales and dolphins. I don't think that makes you a good person. I don't think it makes you a good person to support all these Chinese-made solar panels. I don't think it makes you a good person to support the kind of energy that actually is so unreliable, yet costs you an arm and a leg, has a limited lifespan of maybe a few decades, and then ends up in landfills that overflow our landfills with solar panels and with gigantic wind blades. I don't think it makes you a good person at all. But you see, the left loves their whole good person mantra. And if you don't do what we say, you're not a good person. If you don't follow our clean energy nonsense, you're not a good person. If you don't give up your gas-powered car, you're not a good person. And that condescending lecturing that they do as they decide what's a good person and what's not a good person. Much like how if you don't think the border should be wide open, you're not a good person. If you don't think illegal immigrants should get free health care, you're not a good person. And they do judge people that way. When people say they've had it, they don't like that. They can't stand that. What do you mean I'm a good person? What do you mean I'm not a good person? I don't need you lecturing me about what that, I don't need you telling me I'm a good person or not a good, I don't need that. Give me a break. I don't need you telling me if I'm a good person or not. But the left has always had this idea of they are morally superior than you, and that their policies are morally superior. So it's not just a matter of you rejecting their policies. Remember, you're rejecting something that is good. Yeah, and then that makes you not good. Right? You're not good. You're a bad person. The very same people that say hate has no home here and put those signs on their lawn, they actually do hate you a lot. They hate you a lot. So here's Jack's new TV ad, cut number 9.
You need to move into clean power. It's going to cost you an arm and a leg, but if you're a good person, you'll do it.
Unbelievable. Talk about out of touch. I'm Jack Ciattarelli. Politicians like Mikie, Sherrill, and Phil Murphy just don't get it. They're making New Jersey unaffordable, especially for the middle class. We need a change. My plan brings down property taxes, lowers electricity bills, and cuts your income taxes. Because you should keep more of what you earn. It's time to fix New Jersey. When I'm governor, we will.
Good. Great. Excellent. Excellent ad. Spot on, right message, right tone, right everything. That's what you want right there. You want a good message, you want a strong message, and you want a message that is very simple for people to understand. Mikie Sherrill is acknowledging it's going to cost you an arm and a leg, and Jack is saying, I'm going to save your arms and your legs and also save you money at the same time. So you don't have to give up your arms, you don't have to give up your legs, and you also will save money. Sounds pretty good. Oh, but you may not be a good person. Well, if anybody really believes that argument, that if you don't embrace the green wacko energy ideas, you're not a good person, they can shove it. Because we've heard that a million times, and none of us think that that makes you a good person. None of us believe that. Here's President Trump on Air Force One. Let's cue cut number 7. As he was flying home, he was talking about how Virginians should vote for the Republican. Now, he didn't say either name, but I mean, he's got a lot on his mind. But obviously, the Republican in Virginia is Winsome Earle-Sears. The Republican in New Jersey, Jack Ciattarelli. Cut number 7.
The lieutenant
well,
governor?
I think the Republican candidate is very good, and I think she should win because the Democrat candidate's a disaster. So I haven't been too much involved in Virginia. I love the state. I did very well in the state. But I will tell you, I think the Republican candidate is excellent, and I think the Democrat candidate is a disaster. I mean, I watched her in the debate. She couldn't answer the most basic question. And, you know, a big thing with that race and also the race in New Jersey is going to be energy. Both of the Democrats are going to drive the energy prices through the roof. Through the roof. Your energy is going to double and triple. If the Republican gets elected, your energy is going to be coming down by 70, 80%. Thank you very much, everybody. Vote Republican.
There you go. Good. Now, we know that a rally from Trump, I think either state, I think both states, it only helps to have him get engaged. If you hate Trump, that cake is baked. If you really despise him and you hate him and you're at a No Kings rally, it doesn't matter. You're not changing your vote from Jack to Mikie. You're already voting for Mikie Sherrill. You're already voting for Abigail Spanberger. But if you are a Republican and you don't feel particularly enthusiastic, if you're a Republican and you need to be fired up, well, the president coming in and doing something would be huge. It would be huge.